Courtrooms have a strange kind of silence. Not sacred like a church, not sterile like a hospital, just still, heavy, like every sound, every breath, every glance might tip something over. I sat there in a suit I hadn't worn in years. It was tight in the chest and loose in the shoulders, the kind of fit you get when you've aged more inside than out. My ex-wife sat across from me, back straight, hands folded. Her lawyer flipped papers like he was checking off a grocery list. House, truck, pension. Then came custody. He was 17. Old enough, they said, to choose, to speak on his own behalf. They called him up. My boy. He stood. Wore the navy blazer I bought him last Christmas. Still had a little crease on the sleeve. Didn't even glance in my direction. He took the oath, sat down, adjusted the mic like he'd done it before. Then he spoke. Said I was distant, said Mom had always been there. Said I missed dinners, missed games, missed moments. Some of it was true. I worked long hours, kept lights on, put food on the table, but I never missed on purpose. He didn't lie, but he didn't protect me either. And in that moment, he chose her. Not with anger, not out of spite, just decision. And the court took it like gospel. I didn't flinch, didn't cry, didn't stand up and object. I just sat there and listened. As my own son told a room full of strangers that he didn't feel like I was his home anymore. And I knew something in me would never be quite whole again. I didn't talk to anyone after the hearing. Didn't go get a drink with the lawyer. Didn't answer texts from friends asking, "How'd it go?" I just drove home. Hands on the wheel, eyes straight ahead. No music, no thoughts. Just that numb kind of quiet that fills you up when the pain's too raw to speak. When I got to the house, I sat in the truck for 20 minutes before I went inside. The porch light was still on. It always was. Inside, nothing had changed. Same pictures on the wall, same worn grooves in the floor. Same room he grew up in down the hall. I walked past it, paused at the door. Thought about opening it. Didn't. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the empty chair across from me. The one he used to pull out half crooked, slouch into with a mouthful of cereal and headphones on. I thought about all the times I missed dinner because I was stuck at work. The nights I came home late and found his homework already done. Lights off, his door closed. I was trying to build something for us, for him. A life with stability, security, a roof that never leaked, a fridge that was always full. But I guess he didn't see that, or maybe he did. And it just wasn't enough. And maybe I wasn't enough. That's what lingered. Not the words he said, but the possibility that maybe he had been waiting for more than I gave. And I was too caught up in trying to provide to notice he was starving for something else. Connection, time, presence. Things I thought I had more of. I didn't hate him. I couldn't. He was still my son. But that night, for the first time, I realized you can do everything you thought was right and still end up on the wrong side of someone's story. I didn't move out of the house, didn't sell it, didn't pack up his room like some kind of emotional closure exercise. I just kept living in it. Not because I was clinging to the past, but because I wasn't ready to let go of the part of me that still believed in being there, even if no one else was. The seasons passed like they always do. Grass kept growing. Faucets kept leaking. The front steps creaked a little louder every year. And every night before I went to bed, I turned on the porch light. Not out of drama, not for show, just in case. In case he ever came back down that old road. In case he ever got tired of the silence between us. In case he ever wondered whether the door was still open. His room stayed the same. Football posters, old trophies, books stacked sideways on a shelf that never sat level. There was a pair of sneakers still under the bed. The kind he stopped wearing when he outgrew both the shoes and that version of himself. I'd go in there some nights, not to cry, not to pray, just to sit, to remind myself that love doesn't stop when someone leaves. It just waits differently. People told me I needed to move on, find someone, take a vacation. Start fresh, they said. But I didn't need new. I needed steady. And steady for me meant leaving the porch light on. Meant brewing coffee every morning like he might show up. Meant cooking too much dinner sometimes, just in case a second plate was needed. It wasn't optimism. It wasn't denial. It was love. Quiet, unshaken, inconvenient love. It was late fall, leaves dry and curled at the edges. Sky already dark by 6. I had just set a pot of coffee on the burner when the phone buzzed. A name I hadn't seen in over 2 years. Still saved, still familiar. Still enough to stop my breath for a second. You still live at the same place? I stared at the message longer than I needed to, then typed back, "Yeah, porch light's on." He showed up 2 hours later. Same car, different haircut, taller somehow, older in the eyes. I heard the tires on the gravel before I saw him. Didn't rush outside, just opened the door, leaned on the frame, and waited. He stepped out slow, hands stuffed in his jacket pockets, nodded once like that was all the introduction he had the courage for. "You still got that old porch swing?" "Still squeaks like hell," I said. He smiled. "Just a little." We sat. No music, no noise, just the creak of wood and the low hum of that porch light overhead. We didn't talk about court. Didn't mention the words he said back then. Didn't dissect the distance. After a while he spoke, voice lower, slower. "I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was protecting her. I didn't think I was hurting you too." I nodded. Didn't say it's okay. Didn't say you were just a kid because none of that mattered now. What mattered was this. He came back. On his own. In his own time. And he knew the light had stayed on. As he stood to leave, he looked back up at it. "You really kept it on? All this time?" "Every night," I said. He didn't hug me, didn't cry, just gave me that small nod again and pulled away slow. But this time, I watched him go and felt something settle, not break. He didn't move back in, didn't call every week after that, but the silence changed. It wasn't absence anymore. It was distance finding its way home, one quiet step at a time. He texts me now and then, not much. "Happy birthday, old man. What kind of oil does the mower take again? You watching the game Sunday?" Simple things, ordinary things. But when you've gone long enough without them, even ordinary feels like grace. I never asked for an apology, never brought up the courtroom, never replayed what he said even when it echoed in my own head. Because that's not love. Love doesn't demand a confession. It just waits, honest, quiet, and ready. People talk a lot about moving on, but I've learned something different. You don't always need to move on. Sometimes you just need to stay steady. Until what was lost decides to come looking again. I still live in the same house, same porch, same swing, same creaky boards underfoot. Some nights, I sit out there with a cup of coffee, just watching the light stretch across the yard. Not waiting, not hoping, just being. And I still flip that porch light on, every night, without fail. Not because I expect him to show up again, not because I need closure, but because he knows it's there. And that knowing, that quiet knowledge that someone, somewhere, still leaves a light on for you, that's what matters. My son testified against me. He stood in a courtroom and said I wasn't enough. And maybe back then I wasn't. But I never stopped being his father. And I never turned off the light. Because real love doesn't shout. It doesn't chase. It doesn't punish. It just stays. And sometimes, that's the only kind of love that lasts.